Ladies and gentlemen, this is Mike Roth. Prepare for an unforgettable cinematic experience. Mark your calendars for Friday, March 7th at 3 p.m. for the world premiere of the highly acclaimed and anticipated blockbuster, Bad Senator, a dramatic comedy about a retired senator who has lost everything until a spirited woman moves in next door and turns everyone's lives upside down. This movie, inspired by real-life events of us, the residents of the villages, and filmed in and around the villages in late 2022, will captivate your heart and stir your emotions to the core. Be the first to experience the magic of the big screen. Step onto the red carpet and take the glitz and glamour and immerse yourself in an afternoon of movie magic. Make sure to tell your friends. Don't miss out on this special Hollywood VIP event. Join us at the Village's Old Mill Playhouse for the exclusive limited premiere of Bad Senator, March 7th through 9th, with showtimes at 3 p.m. each day. And in true Hollywood style, writer-director Chad Richardson will join me for a special interview directly after the Friday showing. But don't worry, folks. He's assured me he'll be around after each showing and has promised to bring the now infamous Van Sutton helmet and other special props from the movie for photo opportunities. Get your tickets now at badsenatormovie.com and be part of this rare and exciting opportunity.
Welcome to the Open Forum in the Villages, Florida podcast. In this show, we talk to leaders in the community, leaders of clubs and interesting folks who live here in the villages to get perspectives of what is happening here in the villages, Florida. We are a listener-supported podcast. There will be shout-outs for supporters in episodes.
This is Mike Roth. And listeners, I'm thrilled to share with you this podcast, which is my passion project for you. This podcast brings you knowledge, inspiration, and a lot of things that people need to know about the villages and the people living here. Be sure to hit the follow button to get the newest episode each week. Creating this podcast is a labor of love, even though it demands more time than I can easily spare. Now, here's where you come in. You can help us keep the podcast alive and thriving. How? By becoming a supporter. And click on the supporter button at the top of the page, or the purple supporter box. Even a small donation of $3 to $10 a month makes a big difference. And you can cancel your subscription at any time. Your support means the world to us. Stay curious, stay inspired, and keep those headphones on. This is Mike Roth on Open Forum in the Villages, Florida. I'm here today with Carolee Owen. Thanks for joining me, Carolee.
Thanks for having me.
Carolee grew up in Baltimore and first showed a talent for drawing. Only much later in her life did she begin writing. Her first published book, Murder in the Haunted House, is not only a story, but useful as an in-home play. We'll have to talk more about that, Carolee. And Carolee has 2 children's books. Her next book is tentatively called Socks Summer Vacation. She's one illustrator as well. Have you illustrated the covers of your book as well?
Some of them.
Okay, that's great. Tell us about where you grew up in Baltimore and what talents were nurtured there.
Originally, in elementary school, a lot of my drawings seemed to be a little better than the rest of the children. And I would do, as growing up, I would do a lot of things for the other kids. I would make paper dolls for them to play with, and they'd always come up to the porch and I'd draw things.
Mm-hmm.
It was in maybe junior high that I first put together a comic book, actually, of worms.
Let me see if I got that straight. Your first writing was a comic book about worms.
That's right.
Okay, and where did it go from there?
It didn't happen quickly, too much as far as writing, but the artwork did. I
Mhm.
carried it into my job by doing flyers and other things that you need
Mhm.
in the course of office work, banners and posters and
So you
different
grew
things.
up and lived in Baltimore? Mhm. When did you
Yes.
move here to the Villages?
Oh, about 13 years ago,
Mm.
12 years ago.
You came here directly from Baltimore?
No, I got married, married late at 31 and was married 50 years before my husband died last year. And during that time, we moved around because he worked for Westinghouse and we went from place to place. I've lived in Florida before in the 70s for a while
Mhm.
and just recently moved back to Florida about 30, 35 years ago. But I didn't move here until retirement or
Okay,
my retirement.
good. And what helped you most in your writing?
What has helped me most when I moved here to the Villages, I'd say a year later, I found Mark Newhouse's a group which was Writers for Kids
Mhm.
and joined that group and found it very helpful in my writing. Most of what I'd start to write, it would go to the people in that class and they would make comments on what they thought was good and what could be better. And it invariably, how I started out my story, it would turn around and be something totally different
Mhm.
starting out. In a way, I feel like I've just mellowed and developed into a different kind of writer, a better writer, I think.
Mhm. Mark's been on our show a couple of times.
Hmm.
And what contributed to you being an illustrator of your own books?
Being in that class, because as people would read their different stories or chapters, I would have pictures in my head and I would doodle them. And the first time, one girl was sitting next to me and she saw me draw a mermaid from her book. She was talking about a mermaid and she liked the drawing. She said, I've had a lot of people draw mermaids, but I liked yours best. That was the first book that I did. And now I have maybe almost a dozen that have followed that
Mhm. Do you charge
through
people
them.
to be an illustrator?
Of course.
Oh, on
That's
average, what?
not much.
It's
It's
not much.
nothing to live on, but it's something
It's good to know
that
we
you
have
can
an
use.
illustrator here in the
Mhm.
Villages.
Oh,
I was
there's many of them.
I was just talking to another author who told me she had her book illustrated by someone in Pakistan,
Oh my goodness.
and she said it was very cheap. I said, "Look at the results."
Now I understand they even have programs that'll do your illustrations for you.
Oh yes, AIs will
Yeah.
do your
Hmm.
illustrations.
I've noticed that most illustrators have their own style. And I think for someone looking for an illustrator, I always tell them, I'll give you a sample of my work and see if it fits
Mhm.
what you have in mind for
Mhm.
your book. Some people don't even have pictures in their mind when they're writing.
Mhm. So
Uh,
do you use color illustrations or are they purely,
some, if they need color, it's more expensive to make color.
yeah, black and white? That works well when you self-publish on Amazon. They charge a
True.
lot more when you're gonna
This is,
work in color.
or if you have a chapter book and not a children's picture book, you would use black and white.
Mhm.
Children's picture book might use color.
What do you think is your best book?
My best book, my husband always liked A Wish for Algae, which is a children's book about a fish who has everything, but it's not enough for him. And he wants to be a bird because he thinks that's fascinating.
Mhm.
But when he becomes a bird, he finds out
Not a
what
flying
different.
I would have made him a flying fish.
But anyway, he befriends an owl
Mhm.
who helps him solve his problems. And I won't tell you the end of the story.
Okay. How many books have you written in total?
If you count the plays that I've written,
Mhm.
and that's the murder mystery plays that I originally said was Murder in the Haunted House.
Mhm. How many plays are
Um,
there? We'll start there.
I've made four
4 plays.
that I've played either in my house or in country club
Mhm.
atmosphere,
How many actors do you put into a
as
play?
many that come. If I have it in my house, if I have 24 people, I have 24
Different parts?
characters, different
24
parts.
24 scripts.
Absolutely.
Okay. And it's word for word.
No, it's I give them what their character is like. Anything specific if they're part of the murder mystery itself, things that they have to do or say. But they are allowed to ad lib and do whatever they need to do in the space of their character. It's an improvised play. Yes.
Right. Has it ever been, have any of the plays that are improvised been produced and shown to larger audiences?
No, just the audiences that I have in the country club
Mm.
atmosphere.
And how many
Right.
people there at the country clubs?
Oh, maybe 100, but not all of them are characters.
And how-
Only in my home.
And in the
Yeah.
country club, how many characters did you have?
It would be, close to 20, maybe.
20? And how
Mhm.
many different plays are there?
4.
4 different plays.
Yeah. I even have one that's the Run for the Roses, and or not each person, but number of people who come to the party, they get to be the owners of one of the horses that's actually running in the Run for the Roses.
Road for Roses. Okay.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool. Dean Corbett put on a play, an improvised play like that.
Mhm.
And in every performance, there was a different perpetrator of the murder.
You could do that.
And the thing that really made his play unique is he had Wayne Richards playing the part of the detective. And Wayne can break out into song and improvise a song that
Oh,
fits
my.
into the play. It was wonderful. It was wonderful. Carolee, are you working on anything new now?
Yeah, several things. Besides illustrations, which I just finished one of Mark's books, as a matter of fact.
Mm-hmm.
And I have 2 more books that I'm going to illustrate coming up.
Mhm.
But I've been working on several books. One of is a murder mystery. One of the ones that I had made as a play. I'm going to do the same thing as this Murder in the Haunted House, where I write the story. And then at the end, I give all the things that you need to put on the play in your house. Everything that you need to give out to the people that are going to come, invitations, and anything else. Certificates. You always need a certificate if somebody's guessed the right.
Great. We're going to take a short break now and listen to a Alzheimer's tip from Dr. Craig Curtis. This is Mike Roth and Dr. Craig Curtis. We're talking about Alzheimer's disease. Let's talk about the omega-3 and omega-6. How should people get that from their diet?
Well, primarily, you should get that through beans and nuts and legumes and fish.
Mm-hmm.
You can take a supplement of omega-3, omega-6s. However, don't overdo the supplementation of omega-3 specifically. There was a large study published by the American College of Cardiology a few years back that seemed to show that people that took too much omega-3 might have an increased risk of a heart arrhythmia. So my recommendation is if you buy omega-3 supplements, take it as written.
With over 20 years of experience studying brain health, Dr. Curtis's goal is to educate the Villages community on how to live a longer, healthier life. To learn more, visit his website, craigcurtismd.com, or call 352-500-5252 to attend a free seminar.
Thank you, Dr. Curtis. Carolee, off the subject of writing for a moment, what's your favorite pastime or hobby here in the Villages?
I have many.
Which means?
As far as crafts, I like to crochet when I'm watching television. I like to do Ancestry. I've done that for quite a number of years. And of course, I go to bingo, play cards, play golf when I
Mhm.
can.
What's something you discovered about your own ancestry that surprised you?
I guess that some of my family came from Denmark. I didn't realize that. I thought it was mostly English
Mhm.
and German. But I also, my maiden name is Russell, and I understand that's French. That came from William the Conqueror that came over to Great Britain at 10. Yeah, and there were people named Rousseau that
Mhm.
brought the name Russell over.
Okay. Now, if you could have one superpower, what would that be?
I'd like to have a magic wand like Harry Potter and be able to zap things.
Some people know I'm an amateur magician. At some place in the house, I have a couple of magic wands.
It would be nice.
Yeah, they are very magical when you do use them correctly. Now, you've been a writer for what, 12 years?
I started my murder mysteries
Mm-hmm.
back in the mid-'80s.
Oh, in the mid-'80s.
I'm very slow at doing things until the point that they're due, and then I have to do them very fast. And it's curious how I started to do that. I'm a very shy person, and I could never talk in front of a crowd. And in Pittsburgh, where we were living, my husband got us involved into a murder mystery play that was held at a local pub, and I was one of the characters. I made myself sick thinking about it until I finally decided that, okay, I'm not me, I'm the character, so I can do anything I want and don't care if people laugh at me,
Okay.
which my character was one that they laugh at. And I found out how much fun it was to go up to somebody that completely unaware and ask them a question like, are you here for the bride or the groom? And put them on the spot.
Mm-hmm.
And I wound up having the best time of my life until when I came back home, I said, this can't be hard to do, I thought. And that's when I wrote Murder in the Haunted House, where they have a seance involved in the play, which is fun. And during a blackout, you hear a gun go off, you hear a person scream, you hear a thud on the floor, you hear a lot of things. And when the lights go back on, a person has been stabbed.
Mm-hmm. If someone wants to get a copy of your play, or plays, after 4 of them, or your children's books, how do they do that?
You can go to Amazon, type Carolee Russell, you can type Carolee Owen, you can go to Amazon. So the
Books are on Amazon.
You can find them.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how. My publisher is Trafford. At the time, they were the only ones that I knew that did the print-on-demand books, and they'd pretty much print your book, except for things they didn't want in it, which I wouldn't put in anyway. And at the time, I just wanted to have a book in my hand, and it was marvelous to see something in print with my name on it.
Carolee, if you could give advice to the 30-year-old Carolee now, from your vast store of knowledge, advice would you give to the younger Carolee about writing?
I might try to do it earlier, but I wasn't in the frame of mind at that age as I am now, or was when I wrote my first book. But I was involved in a lot of things. I still have a lot of projects going on that sometimes I can't make room for other ones, but I like to keep busy.
What are your top 3 recommendations for writers?
Listen to other people. Number 1, I would say have someone else read your work to you, or you read it aloud, because your work is too close to you that when you proofread it, you know what's going to be there, so you don't see if there's a mistake. And I'd say third, I would say just make sure it sounds right to you. I'm what they call a seat of the pants writer. I would recommend, though, that you have an idea of where your book is going. And as Mark would always say, aim for the arrow, or aim your arrow at the target, and which I have a little problem doing.
Then use a pistol instead of a crossbow. Much easier. Shooters
If
Club
they're
makes
faster.
Yeah, the Shooters
If
Club. We
they're-
have to get someone off from the Shooters Club.
Well, that's true. I've not tried the bow and arrow club either, but
Yeah,
I'd rather
they got a
like
nice
that.
couple of air gun clubs here, as well as the Pistol Club, Shooting Club, which is probably got 4,000 or 5,000 members in it.
There are a lot of groups in the villages that tend to help writers, and Mark's is just one of them, and that's for children plus now, because if you've written a book for children and then want to do an adult book, we're very happy to help that person along with that.
I've been told there are 17 writing clubs here in the village.
I bet there's more than that, but there's one for about every genre you can imagine.
Wow, okay.
And
So is there a question here in today's show that you wish I had asked you, but I failed to ask that question?
no, I think you've covered everything, except that I didn't really answer your question about what I'm doing next. I've been writing what you call Sox's summer vacation. Sox is a cat, and he has adventures with a bully.
A bully cat?
A bully cat.
Oh, boy.
And as it turns out, he doesn't believe this bully is a bully of the heart. Yes, he thinks that he would prefer not to be a bully. And although this bully has accidentally broken his leg, he's still willing to help the bully get out of some trouble.
The bully broke Sox's leg.
Yes,
Oh,
in a baseball game. cats can play baseball.
That's why you're a writer. You've got that imagination to put things together that most people wouldn't think of, cats playing baseball.
I do have one problem with children's books, and that is I write as an adult too much. I need to think as a child. That happens a lot. It happens a lot.
Why do you think that is?
Because we're adults. We've forgotten what it's like to be a child and how we spoke at that time. And a lot of the children these days are a lot older than they were when I was their age. They
Oh, you mean
act older.
a child of 6 or 7 might act as a child of 9 or 10.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and that's because of
The
television
environment,
and
the
the
television and
environment.
social media,
Sure.
all those things add up. If there's one thing you could have done different in your writing career that you think would have made it a better career, what would that have been?
I think I would have written my murder mysteries a lot earlier and put them in book form because I'd been thinking of doing that for 20 years, maybe longer.
They're
30.
not in book form today?
One of them is.
What? So you have
One.
3 that haven't been turned into books yet.
3 hasn't. One is in galley form, but I need to go through it, rewrite it, and correct things. So it's not ready yet.
So one book is available through Amazon.
Yes, that's Murder in the Haunted House. And I'd love to hear from people if they've purchased it and tried the play at home, how that turned out, whether that worked for them.
How do they get a hold of you to tell you?
I do have a website that I have neglected terribly, which is one thing I probably should.
It's CaroleeRussell.
.com.
.com. Yes, I forget that. And I have another one that's a Russell Original. No O in the original. Just a Russell Original.
Original.com. We're good. Carol, thanks for being on the show with us.
Thank you. My pleasure.
Remember, our next episode will be released next Friday at 9 a.m. Should you want to become a major supporter of the show or have questions, please contact us at mike@rothvoice.com. This is a shout-out for supporters Tweet Coleman, Ed Williams, Dwayne Romich, Paul Sorgen, Kathy Loving, and Dr. Craig Curtis at K2 in the Villages. We will be hearing more from Dr. Curtis with short Alzheimer's tips each week. If you know someone who should be on the show, contact us at mike@rothvoice.com. The way our show grows is with your help. Text your friends about this show if you enjoyed listening, or just tell your friends about the show. We thank everyone for listening to the show. The content of the show is copyrighted by Roth Voice 2025. All rights reserved.